Analysis is probably the most difficult part of the essay, and it's actually the part that is the most important in a lot of ways because it shows what the writer knows about the subject. Analysis is an explanation of what the evidence shows in relation to your thesis statement. And within each paragraph, it specifically proves what's in the topic sentence. So the analysis should, for each paragraph, only relate to the topic sentence for that paragraph. Everything within the same paragraph should be connected. Again, this analysis for that paragraph will show that you understand the meaning of the evidence. So you need to read carefully to see what the evidence shows. One of the key things is close reading. So read it over and over again until you get every nuance out of it. And then try to interpret or analyze or explain or clarify the meaning of the quote as it's related to the topic sentence. Now, this is also going to relate to the thesis statement. So everything has one cohesive message that you're trying to get across, which is that thesis statement. Here's an example. We had a topic sentence for the most dangerous game here. At the beginning of the story, Rainsford does not have any empathy for the animals he hunts. So in this paragraph, all I need to do is to prove that Rainsford does not have any empathy for the animals he hunts. I don't need to prove anything else. That's the only thing I said in the topic sentence. So what we do is we start off with this evidence. We would introduce it with context first. It says here in the evidence that Rainsford responds, "Don't talk rot, Whitney. You're a big game hunter, not a philosopher. Who cares how a jaguar feels?" So what we get here is that Rainsford is dismissing Whitney and his attitude about what the animals might feel. He's saying it doesn't matter how the jaguar feels. So in the analysis, what's written here is that Whitney's ability to understand the fear and helplessness of the animals he hunts contrasts with Rainsford's lack of empathy. Rainsford has no time to even consider what it must be like to be an animal that is hunted and dismisses Whitney's comment as ridiculous. So here we have the proof of the topic sentence, which is that Rainsford does not understand or care about what animals feel. Another example from the Cask of Amontillado, the topic sentence says, "At the start of the story, we see Montresor's obsession with getting revenge on his enemy is out of control." So all we need to be able to do in this paragraph is to prove this one simple thing, that Montresor's obsession with revenge is causing him to be out of control. The evidence we have says, "I must not only punish, but punish with impunity." And so that means without being punished himself. So the analysis is that Montresor has plotted the murder of Fortunato systematically. This is cold-blooded murder. This is something that he's thought about ahead of time, and he's making sure that he has a complete plan. It's not just a momentary anger that he has here. This is something that he's really thought out. I'll continue here. He desires a revenge that is complete and perfect in that he is able to kill without being discovered as the murderer. He neglects to explain why the insult to him was deserving of murder, nor does he consider the immorality of murdering another person in cold blood. So that analysis is meant to show that he's out of control because of his desire for revenge. Now, within the same paragraph, what we want is more than one piece of evidence. So after we analyze one piece of evidence, we need to move on to another piece of related evidence. It still has to relate to the same topic sentence because it's in the same paragraph. So we can use continuation signals, or if it's a different idea, then we can use a change of direction signal. But what we want to do is transition between ideas and make sure that we're flowing smoothly between our thoughts, not just have all of a sudden here's another piece of evidence. So here's an example of the analysis we had of Whitney before in contrast to Rainsford. If we wanted to add another piece of related evidence, we could use the word despite. Despite Whitney's attempts to convince Rainsford that animals do have feelings, Rainsford seems to consider himself to be completely superior to the animals he kills, proclaiming to Whitney, "Be a realist. The world's made up of two classes, the hunters and the huntees. Luckily, you and I are hunters." Now, after this quote, this is a second piece of evidence that proves the same basic thing, which is that Rainsford does not have any empathy for the animals at all, even though Whitney seems to have some. but we would have to explain that in the analysis after this quote. We always want to end our paragraphs with analysis, not with what happened, but with what it means. Here's another example from the Cask of Amontillado. Our previously stated analysis was that Montresor had plotted the murder systematically, and if we wanted to transition to the next piece of information, we could use the word further. His insanity is further displayed as he is able to manipulate this man by playing on his ego and pretending to be a friend in need of Fortunato's expertise. Okay, and we would need analysis of that as well. So basically what we have with analysis is after every quote, we have to explain to the reader what it shows. And what does it show? It shows whatever's in the topic sentence. So we have this very clear, organized way of explaining the meaning of whatever it is that we're talking about.